Good morning students. Today we'll be learning the concepts of static members, objects and functions. So under the static members we'll be seeing regarding the concept of static data members as well as the static member functions. So let us see the concept of static data members. So static data members are nothing but they are the members of the class and not of any objects of the class. What does it mean is they are defined within the class with the prefixed keyword static in front of the variable. So this is a static data member. Okay, and what is happening, you know, when we declare a class, it doesn't occupy any memory. Okay, but when we create an object of this particular class, that means many copies of object is nothing but a copy of a class, so which will actually have a memory allocation, but for class we don't have actually a memory allocation. So if you define this variable as a static, okay, as a static within the class itself, you're going to define and not within the objects, through the objects. So what will happen, I need to allocate a memory for this. I need to allocate a memory for this static variable. So once I finish the class declaration, I can give a memory allocation for the static variable count by using this particular syntax. That is nothing but return type. What is the return type of the variable? Int, and then again class name, scope resolution operator, and then the variable name count. This is the static variable name, class name, and the return type int. Here again we are not going to use the keyword static. Once if you declare here, that's it. And if you declare here, default value will be initialized to 0 for the static variable. Okay, default value will be initialized to the static variable. So the only two things regarding the members you have to remember: one, you're declaring within the class, one you're going to declare within the class, and other point is regarding how you're going to allocate the memory for the static variable. Once your class declaration is done, that is your declaration of the class is done throughout, then outside that you're going to allocate the memory for that particular static variable. Now what is it is, it is nothing but a data member of a class itself, which can be qualified as a static. The properties of the static variables are similar to that of your C static data member. Okay, the properties of the static variable are similar to that of C static, whatever you have static variable you have learned. So a static member variable has certain characteristics like C, that is, it is initialized to 0. Default, if you just give this syntax, right, it is default, by default it will take the value 0 when the first object uses this particular static variable. Okay, when the first object of its class is created, when I, for example, I created A, B, C here, default value of this static variable will be set to 0. No other initialization is permitted. And remember, there will be only one copy of this member, static member, which will be used in the entire class, and it is also shared by all objects. No matter how many objects you create, there will be only one static variable that will be shared by all the objects. Okay, and it is only visible within the class, but its lifetime is entire in the program. So let us see the basic points over here. So static data members are the members of the class and not of any objects of the class. That is, they are not contained inside any object. So you know, when we create an object, the memory will be allocated, whereas within the class I'm going to define the static members, so the memory is not being allocated for that. So outside the class I'm going to allocate the memory for the static variable. To declare a static variable, prefix the declaration of the variable with the static keyword and make it static member of the class. So how I did, same way I just showed over here also, class A static float x. So this is, now this x is nothing but a static variable. Okay, this x is nothing but the static variable. Regarding the points, some points regarding how the memory is allocated, we need to explicitly define static data member outside the class to allocate the memory. So this is the syntax: return type, class name, scope resolution x. So what will this do? As I told, it will initialize the value to 0. Default value is always 0. It will initialize the value to 0. If you want to initialize some other value, yes, you can assign by using the equal to operator, and you can put. So here I have done it. If some other initial value is desired instead, the statement should be rewritten over here: float A, scope resolution operator x equal to 1.1, and there is only one copy of the static data member in the memory. Remember, this is a very important point. There is only one copy of the static data member in the memory. So how many, like, you might create many objects, for one particular class, but this one copy of the static member itself is used for the entire class, and it is being shared by all the objects. So this is regarding the static data members. So let us see the example of this concept, static data member. So if you see over here, this is the class. Within the class, I declared this as a static data member, and this is my normal data member. And then I have a function void get data int a, number is equal to a, and then count is being incremented. So what is happening over here? Whatever the int get data, if you pass 10 or any value you pass, that a will be stored in this particular number, and the counter initially it will declare to 0, right? It will be incremented to 1 now, and then get count, whatever the count value is there, that will be displayed here. Here the data will be stored in the number, and it will increment the counter, and get count is nothing but void get count, return type is also void, just it will display the count value, what was my count value. And as I told, this is nothing but I'm giving a memory allocation, the default value for that count will be 0. Now let us go to the main. In the main, I declared 3 objects for the class item, that is a, b, c. Now a dot get count, b dot get count, c dot get count. So what initially I just called get count for 3 objects also. So you know, when here it is just I'm calling this get count function. So what is the count initially? What is the count value? It is actually 0, right? So through any object, if I call also a dot get count, count value will be 0, because it is calling only this function count 0. So it will, here the count a dot get count will give you the value 0, b dot get count also will give you the value 0, c dot get count also will give you the value 0. Now a dot get data 100, a dot get data 100 means it will go to this particular function. Now here 100 is been passed. In the number, 100 will be stored. In the number, 100 will be stored. That's it. And count will be incremented. So it was 0. Now count will be 1. Now count will be 1. Okay. So count will be 1. Again, b dot get data. Now what will happen? After 200 will be passed here. 200 will be passed. 200 will be passed. And again what will happen? In the number, 200 will be updated. In the number, 200 will be updated, and your count will be incremented. So it was 1. For the next, this iteration, it will be 2 now. Similarly, c dot get data I have written 300. So again 300 means it will come here. Here 300 will be passed. Here 300 will be passed. And after 300, in the number 300 will be stored. In the number 300 will be stored. Okay, and count will be incremented. So count value will be now 3. Count value will be now 3. So what is happening here? Now counter finally value is being incremented, and it is being incremented, and the value will be 3. Now what is telling, after reading all these data, and then a dot get count, b dot get count, c dot get count, what is the value of the count? So you might be thinking like a dot get count might be 1, b might get count might be 2, or c dot get count might be 3. No, but actually the count is one single count itself was used, right? So a dot get count, when I called a dot get data 100, count was 1. Okay, but that count itself was used for when it is called 200, so count became 2. That count itself got incremented when this was 300, so it became 3. So whenever you call this count, get count, all the values will be printed is 3 itself for all. Why? Because what is happening over there? Because it is being shared by all the 3 objects. Okay, the static variable count is initialized to 0 when the objects were created. So here a dot, when the object were created, it was initialized to 0. The count is increased whenever the data is read into an object. Since the data is read here 3 times, so our counter became incremented 3 times, and count value was 3. Because there is only one copy of count that is shared by all these 3 objects. Okay, the output also causes the value 3 to be displayed. Okay, 3 to be displayed. So for your let us see this execution in the code blocks. So let us see the execution in the code blocks, so you'll get the idea how it works. Okay, so let us run this particular program now. So here get a dot get data 100, same program we have run over here. So wait, just we'll see here. You can see this count initially, a dot get count, b dot get count, c dot get count. Okay, so what is happening? Initially I did not increment anything. Counter was just, I called a dot get count. So what is happening? I just called this particular function. So whatever the counter initial value was there, whatever the counter initial value was there, that was getting displayed. Whatever the counter initial value was there, that was displayed. Then I did get data 100, get data 200, get data 300. So thrice this got incremented. Finally my counter value was 3. So any object through that, if you called a dot get count or b dot get count or c dot get count, the count value will be displaying 3. So what is the agenda over here? Once you declare the static variable, that variable itself is used throughout the program. That variable itself is used, it is initialized once. It is initialized once, but those copies are used by the entire program. It is initialized one, but those same copy is being used by the all the objects that have been created. So that is regarding the example 1. In the example 2, similar to the previous program itself, again I have declared static int count. See, you can either okay, we'll go from this flow itself. Class A static int count int x, then set counter function, and within that set counter function I just have count incremented, and x is equal to count plus 10 I have declared. Count I have incremented and count plus 10, then count I have displayed. Okay, count I have displayed, and I have displayed the x value also. I have incremented the count, then x is equal to count plus 10 I have declared, and then I have displayed the count as well as the x value. So here static int count, for this memory allocation should be done. So what is the syntax I told? Return type, class name, scope resolution, static variable. Here if you set count also fine, if you set equal to 0 also fine, that's okay, no issue. You can also initialize to equal to 0. Now within the main I called a1, a2, these two objects, remember students, it is using this single count variable itself. Both share this count variable itself. So what is happening? A dot set counter, when it calls a dot set counter, it will call this particular a1 dot set counter, it will come over here. Now count will be 1, x will be count plus 10, so it will be 11. So here count display will be 1 and this x value will be 11. Again a2 dot set counter, when it is set a2 dot set counter, again count is not reinitialized to 0. Instead that one value itself will get incremented and it will be 2. So here x value will be now 2 plus 10, so it will be 12. So it will display, for the next iteration it will display 2, and here it will display 12. So this is another example of the static data member. So let's just run this program also. Build and run. So this is one more example which has been set. So you can also change the value of the counter. So you can see count is 1 and x here. I just called a1 dot set counter, so it calls this particular function. Initial count value was 0, so count is incrementing, and x will be 11, so count will be 1. So I just displayed over here. Then a2 dot set counter, again previous count value itself will be used, so count will be 2, this will be 2 plus 2, 10, 12, and that will be displayed over here. Now for example we'll just change the value of this. Okay, you can set any value for the counter, so I just set this. Now I'll just build and run. If you just want to see now what will be the, let us just see what will be the output for that. So you can see count value was 5, that got incremented, and 6 plus 10 is 16, and then again next iteration when you called through the another object, it got 7 and 17. So this is also just an example where you can set the count value and run this particular program. So this is regarding the static data member. So you need to remember the few things how you are going to declare the static data member. So as I told you, you are declaring within the class. So since class doesn't have any memory allocation, so static data member needs to have a memory I need to give. So for that syntax is this. Okay, you can use either equal to 0 if you initialize also fine, or else just declare with the variable also fine, or you can give your own prescribed value if you want to give. Once you're done, this count variable, any objects you create, that will share this own static data member. Okay, and once you put a keyword over here static, no need to put again when you do the memory allocation over here. So this is regarding the static data member, and these were the syntax. And then I told only one copy of this static data member is been created, and that can be used by any number of objects. And what is the now for you might think what might be the application of this. Okay, since static variables are normally used to maintain the values common to entire class, okay, common to entire class, so we can have this application which can be used as a counter, okay, that records the occurrence of all the objects. It can be like how many objects have been occurred, okay, records an object occurrence, so it can be used as a counter variable. So this is an application where static data members can be used, okay, where static data members may be used. So this is regarding the static data members. Next concept is regarding the static member functions. Next concept is regarding the static member function. So you are clear with the static data member. Now static member functions are actually used to modify the static data members of the class. To modify the static data members of the class. So I'll just go with the program and then I'll go back to the theoretical concepts. So how can you define the static member function? So you can define the static member function within that particular class itself. So if this is the class, you can use the keyword static and then define that particular function which will manipulate or which will do the manipulation for only the static variable. Remember students, only the static variable. So count only that, whatever the manipulation or whatever the displaying is there, only those variables will be used within this particular function, not the normal variable. So this is a normal data member, this is the static data member. So here only the operations is done on the static data member. So you can see count is a static data member, so that is being displayed over here. So that is being displayed over here. Okay, so this is the syntax for the function. You should use static and void show count, and within this you're manipulating only the static data member. So this is one concept, and one regarding the data member declaration, it's same, static int count, and for the memory allocation you're using this. Okay, now we'll go here. Static member functions are defined to modify static data members of the class. So that's what I told. We are defining the functions to modify the static data members of the class. Prefixing the function prototype with the keyword static specifies it is a static member function. Okay, so you had seen here, right? So you had seen here static. So this means this function is static function. Okay, the keyword static should not appear in the definition of the function. Okay, now for example, now in case I have defined over here itself, in case if I would just put the prototype here, static void show count, outside this if I define, then no need to put the keyword static. Instead, same like scope resolution, void test scope resolution show count function, I can define like that. So either I can define within the class. In case if I define outside the class, only for the prototype I'm using the keyword static, but in case if I'm defining outside, just void class name scope resolution operator show count void will be the function. That's what he's telling. Okay, should not appear in the definition of the function. Okay, static member function can be called directly without an object or with respect to an object also. So for example, if you want to call this particular function, usually how we used to call using object, like for example here t1 t2 you declare. So if you want to call that particular function, show count is your function, right, your static function. So you can call either using these objects also, t1.showCount or t2.showCount. If not, this is one more syntax so that you can access the static function. That is nothing but class name, scope resolution operator and static function name. Okay, class name, scope resolution operator and static function name. So this is regarding the how we are going to call the member function. So you can call directly without an object or with respect to an object also. And static member function can access only static data members of the class but not the non-static member. That means this function can use only the count variable but it cannot use the code variable. So this is regarding the theoretical concept of static member function. Now let us just read the run the example program. So this is the example program. So we'll just see the example. So static int count. So this is my static variable. This is my normal data variable. So static data member and normal data member. Within this there are two functions, void set code. Three functions, void set code. Set code will just increment the code. Code is equal to count pre-increment of the count. So it will count whatever the value will be incremented, that value will be stored in the code. Show code is to show the code value. See out object number code value, that is object number code. Remember, show code is to show the code, and your show count static whatever you declared, right, that is to show the count value. So there are three functions. Set code will set the code value. Show code will show the code value using the object number I've just given over here. And here show count will show you the count value. And this you know to just initialize the value for the counter variable in test count. That means you're going to allocate the memory and initialize to the value 0. Okay, so these were the three functions. So just remember these three functions. Now let us come back over here to this particular function. So here I declared two objects initially, t1 and t2. t1.setCode and t2.setCode I call. t1.setCode means t1.setCode. What will happen when I call t1.setCode? It will come over here. Your code will be now 1. Your code value will be 1. When I call t1.setCode, your code value will be like increment the counter, right? So count also will be 1. Count also will be 1 and code also will be 1. So it will be code also 1. Okay. And count, COL, right? Just for your reference, count also will be 1 in the first iteration. Okay. So after that, I call t2.setCode. After that, I call t2.setCode. t2.setCode, what will happen again? The count value. Your count value will be incremented and code will be now what? Count value was 1, right? Count value is 1. You are using one static member itself. So count is incremented. 1 is getting incremented. So code will be 2. Even count will be 2 now. Count will be 2. So don't get confused. Initially I called setCode 1 using one object. So count became 1 and then code also became 1. Next same count I used. Again I called. So count will be 2. That only is copied to the code. So code also will be 2. Now test to show count I have called. Test to show count is nothing but I am calling my static function. Now I am displaying the count value. So what will be? Show count is to show the count value. So what is my count value? 2. Test to show count will display. This is just to set those values. Show count. Show count means it will go to this particular function. Void show count. Count value. What is the count value? Count colon 2 will be displayed. Next it is test 3 t3. When it is test 3.setCode, I call t3.setCode. So code value will be 3. Why? Count also will be 3. Code also will be 3. Why? Because counter is getting incremented. So it will be 3 and code also will be 3. So here test show t3.setCode and test to show count. So what will be the show count value? It is displaying the count value. So count colon 3 will be displayed. And after that it is telling t1.showCode, t2.showCode, t3.showCode. Now you tell me what will happen within this. t1.showCode. T1 it is displaying the object numbers of t1, t2, t3. Okay, it is displaying the objects of those object number. Here it is not same now. You might think it should be now when it is telling t1 object number code t1 using the object. So you know when I called t1.setCode, code became 1. When I called t1.setCode, code became 1, count became 1. Okay, when I called t2.setCode, count got incremented to 2, code became 2. When I called t3.setCode, count became 3, code became 3. But when I print the object, so here when I print t1.showCode, it is actually for t1 it will print 1. t2.showCode, it will print 2. t3.showCode, it will print 3. Don't get confused, because code can be used for 3 different, but counter is only one I am going to use. Okay, by 3 different objects I am fetching the code. So initially when I told t1.setCode, your code became 1. So if I want to, code value will be what? 1. If I display that code value, it is 1 for that particular object. t2, it would show object number code 3. For t3, it would show object number code 3. So this is the regarding the static member function. So let us run this particular code. I'll build this particular project and run it. So you'll just see here count colon 2. So as I told here, t1.setCode, t2.setCode. So when I did t2.setCode, count value was 2 and code was also 2, right? So show count I did. So count value got 2. Then again I created an object, new object, t3, t3.setCode. So you know count value became 3. So it would display 3. Object number I called t1.showCode, t2.showCode, t3. Whatever the object number, it was 1, 2, 3 itself. Object number of this, object number of this, object number of this. So this is not, because object numbers are different I'm going to use, but the only one count value I'm going to use. So you can see one more point you have to remember, the following function, this function is there, right? In case if you put code, if you put count and then if you put this, try to display code, then it will not work, because it is a non-static member, code is not a static member. So that's what you have to remember. And here code is equal to plus count. What is happening here is executed whenever set code function is invoked and the current value of the count is assigned to the code. Since each object has its own copy of code, the value contained in the code represents a unique number of its object. Remember, since each object has its own copy of code, each object will have its own copy of code. That's why code, when you display it, got 1 2 3, but count is being shared by all these 3 objects, but code is shared by, not shared, it is having its own copy of the code, whereas count is being shared to the throughout the program. So this is regarding the static member function. So this is regarding the static member functions that is being told. So in the static member functions, remember, it can access or modify only the static data members, and how we are going to prefix to in front of the function. And in case if you are defining within the class, then this itself is the syntax. But in case if you're defining outside, then no need to declare the keyword static. So this is the example. I hope it's clear with this particular example. Next concept is regarding the objects and function, which is the last topic of the module 1. Objects can appear as a local variables inside the function. So what does it mean is, when you are defining the functions, the objects of the class can appear as a local variable within the function, and also you can pass by value or reference within the function. So here objects can appear as a local variable inside function. They can also be passed by value or passed by reference to the function. Finally, they can be returned by the value or by reference from the function. So this is regarding the objects, how it can be declared within the functions. So this is an example program. So let us see the example program. So here class distance, this program we had already seen in the module 1 throughout the previous videos. So same program I have considered from data abstraction. So int I feet, float f inches. So these are the 2 data members which are defined under the class distance as a data member. Within the public I have 4 functions: void set feet, int get feet, void set inches, and float get inches. Void set feet, int get feet, void set inches, and float get inches. So these are prototypes itself that is being defined. Then you have distance add distance, where the distance class, I mean this is actually a parameter which takes the class as an parameter, but actually it is for the objects. We are taking this class as an parameter in the prototype itself. So here function to add the invoking object with another object passed as a parameter and return the resultant object. So this is regarding what is defined within the class. So all are defined as a prototype and 2 data members. Now let us see the definition of the functions over here. So you know regarding how to define outside the class using the scope resolution operator. So void class name set feet int x, within this I feet is equal to x, and then int distance get feet, return I feet. So what will this do actually? It would set the feet value as x. Whatever you send the value x, it would be setting over here, and it will return the value int distance get feet, it would return the value I feet over here. After that, void distance set inches float y, void distance set inches float y. Here whatever the set inches value you pass, it will be stored in the f inches. If f inches is greater than or equal to 12, then it would do these 2 operations, that is I feet will be incremented and f inches will be decremented. So you have already seen this function. Next is regarding float distance get inches, it would return the f inches value. Next we have distance add distance dd. So over here what is happening, through one distant object, again I am passing one more object as a parameter, and then I am doing the operation. So within this I declared one distance temp as an object of the distance, and there temp dot I feet is nothing but I feet plus dd dot I feet of this object, whatever the feet is there, that I am going to declare, and then temp dot set inches is equal to f inches plus dd dot f inches, return the temp value. So temp dot I feet is equal to I feet plus dd dot I feet, temp dot set inches is equal to f inches plus dd dot f inches, and return the temp value. So these are the 5 functions which is there in this particular example. Let us go to the main. In the main, distance d1, d2, d3. Okay, in that d1 dot set feet 5 means it would go to this 5 and it would set the value 5, and here I feet is equal to 5 would be set, and return 5 I feet means it would give the value 5. Same way, set inches 7.5 means it would go to this particular function. F inches is equal to 7.5 will be set 7.5. Okay, but F inches is not greater than 12. So what would happen? It would not go to this particular group itself. If you return F inches would be 7.5. Okay, 7.5. That is called using the object D1. Then D2 dot set feet is 3, so it would set the value 3, and this is also not greater than 12, so it would set the value 6.25. Now what I did is I created one more object D3. That is equal to D1 dot add D2. D1 dot add D2. So this D2 is a parameter, and this D1 through the object which I am calling, and finally I am going to store in the D3. Through this object D1 I am going to call this add function, and D2 I am sending as a parameter. So let us go to the add function. So here this ifeet is of D1 and this dd dot ifeet is of the D2. That is of nothing but dd itself. So dd dot ifeet is second ifeet or D2 ifeet. Ifeet is of D1. So here first ifeet value is 5. Second dd dot ifeet value is 3. If you see, D2 value is having 3 here. Set feet is having 3. Same way here, F inches, here it is 7.5, first F inches value of D1 object, and next it is having 6.25. So here it will be 6.25. 6.25. So if you add, you will get this value as 13.75. If you add this value, you will get it as 13.75. Okay, so this is of the value of the temp dot set inches, and this if you add, you will get the value as 8. So return temp means it would return the ifeet value as 8 and this as 13.7. That is temp dot ifeet would be 8 and this would be 13.75. Now what I told, it is stored in this D3. Now I told D3 dot get feet and D3 dot get inches. So when I do D3 dot get feet, it would go here and it would set the value 8. You know what is output of this, 8 it was there. So set feet would do 8 and it would return the value 8. Next, when I tell set inches, it would be 13.75, which is being passed as a parameter. When you send 13.75 as a parameter, F inches will be holding this particular value 13.75. You will check whether it is greater than or equal to 12. Yes, it is greater than or equal to 12. It is condition holds, so it is true. So if it is true, ifeet will be equal to ifeet plus F inches by 12. So what is that F inches value? 13.7 by 12. Something you will get it as 1.14 or something. 1.14. Ifeet is plus equal to means ifeet is equal to ifeet plus F inches by 12. So F inches by 12 is 1.14. Ifeet is, you know, the value of ifeet was 8. So 8 plus 1 will give you the integer value, will give you the 8. Sorry, yeah. 5 plus here 8 would give you the value 9. 8 plus 1 would give you the value 1. Here it is nothing but F inches is equal to F inches minus, it is meaning is nothing but F inches minus. So that is nothing but 13.75 minus F inches divided by 12 into 12. So you know F inches divided by 12 is 13.7 by 12 would give you 1.1 something. When you convert to int, it will be 1 itself. So it is 1 into 12. So this would result me the result in 1.75. 1.75. Okay, 1.175. So this is the output we will be getting over there. When you run the program, you will get the output as get feet as 9 and this would give 1.75. So this is an example for the objects that can appear as a local variable within the function. So this is the major concept, major function which will appear as the local variable within this and which is also passed as a parameter. So this is an example for the objects and functions. So let us just run this program in the code blocks. So same program I'll just run. As you can see here, you can get the value as 9 and so just check the value, sorry, build and run. You can check the value as 9 and 1.75. 9 and 1.75. So this is regarding the concept of objects and array, which was the last topic. So in this concept we had learned regarding the static data members, static member functions, and finally we learned regarding the objects and functions. Thank you.